Chiyo and Satsu, two sisters, are sold by their impoverished father in 1929 and sent to Kyoto. As soon as they arrive in the city, Chiyo is once more sold to an okiya, a place where geisha reside and are booked, while Satsu is deemed not attractive enough and is sold to a bawdy house. Chiyo first encounters Granny, aunt, and the boss mother at the okiya. Mother is immediately drawn to Chiyo's blue eyes. Chiyo is locked in her new room with another girl named Pumpkin after being examined. Pumpkin warns Chiyo to cease yelling about her sister or else she'll be struck with a stick. Pumpkin also notes that, depending on Chiyo's behavior, she might one day be selected to attend geisha school. The following day, Chiyo and Pumpkin start doing chores together. When she finds out they can't leave the building, Chiyo becomes a little disappointed, but she doesn't mind chatting to her new acquaintance. She discovers that this okiya's geisha enjoys sneaking around with a male, which is forbidden. Hatsumomo, a geisha, appears to tell them to stay quiet. Chiyo's eyes are also noticed, and the woman tells Chiyo to leave her room because she stinks. Later, Chiyo discovers that mother only tolerates Hatsumomo because she earns well. It is because of her that Chiyo gets fed. But the kimonos she is wearing are still not hers, they are very costly and are the okiya's. Chiyo strives to succeed and persuades her mother to enroll her in geisha school alongside Pumpkin. Chiyo wants to try to find her sister as this is the first time she has left the house since moving in, but Pumpkin forbids her because it would get them in trouble. She picks up a variety of talents in school, like dancing and hosting, that geishas need in order to do their jobs. Chiyo is given the task of organizing Hatsumomo's room one day after she overheard her secretly talking to a boy. Hatsumomo becomes irate when she discovers Chiyo handling her belongings since Chiyo can't disobey the order because it comes from the house ladies. She claims to Chiyo that she knows where her sister is as payback, but she won't reveal anything unless Chiyo makes a self-oath to her. Hatsumomo returns to the okiya in the evening along with a fellow geisha buddy. They both appear to be intoxicated as they examine a pricey kimono that they had a maid take from Mamiha, one of the most well-known geishas in the area. Before returning the kimono to Mamiha as a joke, Hatsumomo forces Chiyo to destroy it with ink. Because mother had to pay for the kimono, Chiyo was meant to sneak about, but she fails and gets caught, which results in a thrashing with a stick and a larger debt to the okiya. When Chiyo points out that she has kept her word, Hatsumomo finally tells her where Satsu is employed after finding her and berating her for failing. She makes it seem like a favor, but in reality, she sees Chiyo as a possible rival and is looking for a method to persuade her to quit. A few nights later, Chiyo accompanies Hatsumomo on her next appointment by foot in order to hold her umbrella up as it rains. She rushes to the red light area to look for her sister, refusing to wait until she is finished. Satsu is delighted to see her and says she went to the okiya to look for her but was turned away. In response, Chiyo says no one ever told her. Tonight, she wants to leave, but Satsu needs to steal some cash first. Chiyo is unsure if she will be able to make it to their agreed-upon meeting place at the bridge the next night. Satsu admits that she has had enough of waiting and that, if Chiyo doesn't appear, she will leave by herself. Hatsumomo is preoccupied with her secret boyfriend when Chiyo returns to the okiya, so Hatsumomo sends him away so they won't be discovered. Hatsumomo claims to have discovered Chiyo lying once more while her mother continues to hear noises and emerges. Chiyo tells mother what she observed earlier as mother starts to physically abuse her and Chiyo realizes she no longer owes Hatsumomo anything. Indignant, mother Hatsumomo slaps Chiyo and prohibits her from seeing the guy again because geishas aren't allowed to fall in love. Her groin confirms the veracity of Chiyo's story. Additionally, she gives the command to lock all doors, ensuring that no one may leave without her knowledge. The next night, Chiyo makes the decision to try to escape by climbing the roofs in order to find her sister, but she stumbles and suffers a serious injury. Chiyo never sees Satsu again since she makes her own escape. The news that Chiyo's parents have passed away and the doctor's bill have been added to her debt only makes the situation worse. In order to pay the okiya back, mother decides to cease funding Chiyo's geisha training and retains her as a simple servant. Chiyo pauses by the bridge one afternoon to reflect on how poorly her life has turned out. When Chairman Ken discovers her, he buys her a shaved ice treat to make her happy because he dislikes seeing a pretty little girl miserable. Chiyo can't help but notice that Ken is keeping two geishas as company when he leaves after complimenting her eyes and giving her money hidden inside his handkerchief. Chiyo then declares that she would train to become a geisha so that she might meet Ken once more, giving her life its true meaning. She makes a wish with the money he gave her at the shrine and saves the handkerchief as a memento of their unique encounter. Years later, under Hatsumomo's guidance, Pumpkin makes her geisha debut, and Chio, who is now 15, continues to serve the Okiya as a servant. Chio hurries to the dinner her friend is giving one evening to bring the instrument she neglected and discovers Ken is one of the attendees. Chio, however, flees since she isn't yet prepared to meet Ken when he hears a disturbance and goes outside to investigate. Mamiha visits the Okiya a few days later to speak with Mother. She argues that since Granny passed away, a servant isn't really needed anymore, thus she'd want to look out for Chio. Up to Chio's debut, she will pay for all of her costs. If Chio doesn't repay the bills 6 months later, Mamiha promises she will pay Mother twice as much. Mamiha adds one requirement to Mother's quick acceptance of such a deal: Mother won't receive a share of Chio's future earnings if the debt is paid off within that time frame. Hatsumomo is envious as the Okiya gets Chio ready to be sent back to training. When Hatsumomo sees Pumpkin standing up for her friend, she slaps Pumpkin and begs her to stop because Chio is now her competition. After that, Pumpkin stops hanging out with Chio. Mamiha fulfills her commitment to take Chio under her wing and teach her all a geisha needs to know. The Baron, Mamiha's personal benefactor, is also introduced to by Chio. Fortunately, Mamiha, who considers Chio like a sister and realizes that what Chio did to her kimono was a part of Hatsumomo's plans, has pardoned Chio for what she did. She teaches the arts as well as how to walk properly and seduce men, among other things. The most crucial guideline is that geishas are performers and hosts rather than courtesans. Their bodies are not for sale. Chio makes an effort to focus and pick up all the tricks. Mamiha gives her a new name to be reborn as a geisha when she is completely prepared, Sayuri. She makes her geisha debut at a dinner the Baron is hosting for some military guests. Although Hatsumomo is present to make passive-aggressive remarks to her, her dance is favorably welcomed. Sayuri won't let her belittle herself and confronts her with sass, humiliating her in front of everyone. Later on in the Okiya, Hatsumomo strikes Sayuri and makes a threat to annihilate her. The following day, Mamiha explains that they must find a way to trick Hatsumomo since she will spread stories and attempt to steal her clientele. In order to amuse Ken and his business colleague Nobu, Mamiha decides to take Sayuri to her first sumo fight. Sayuri wishes to talk to Ken, but as Nobu is the company's leader and its biggest catch, Mamiha is given the order to amuse him instead. Sayuri manages to enchant Nobu despite the fact that he typically dislikes geishas with her deft compliments and conversational skills. When Hatsumomo and Pumpkin show up, both women depart because they don't want to give them the opportunity to start another dispute. A few days later, Mamiha starts working on a scheme to bring down Hatsumomo. In order to be sent to visit Dr. Crab, Sayuri must first create a wound on her leg. When Dr. Crab sees Sayuri's exposed flesh, he is seduced by her beauty despite his skepticism and follows Mamiha's instructions. Later, Nobu gives Sayuri a lovely comb during a meal with Ken and his business associates. In exchange, as instructed by Mamiha, Sayuri discreetly delivers Nobu a unique box containing a rice cake. Mamiha requests that Sayuri offer Dr. Crab one more of these boxes after dinner. Sayuri is confused, so Mamiha finally clarifies, these boxes are a way to advertise Sayuri's deflowering ritual is up for sale to the highest bidder. When Mamiha sold hers when she was young, she received the highest payment ever, 10,000 yen, which enabled her to pay off debt. Now Sayuri can do the same with hers. When they see the doctor, he, however, declines to see them ever again. Sayuri questions Pumpkin about it when she gets back to the Okiya because this doesn't make sense. Initially reluctant to betray her mentor, Pumpkin eventually caves to preserve her connection with Sayuri and admits that Hatsumomo told the doctor that Sayuri was lying and had previously had partners. Sayuri tells Mamiha about this the following day, but she reassures her that there are still plenty of fish in the sea and that she shouldn't be concerned. Sayuri will be the star of an upcoming show as part of Mamiha's scheme, and she even posts signs all throughout town promoting her blue eyes. Hatsumomo is enraged by this and never ceases referring to Sayuri by her previous name. The other geisha dance well together the night of the performance, and then Sayuri gets to perform on her own. She receives a standing ovation from everyone in the audience, including Ken, Nobu, and the doctor, for her riveting performance. Sayuri becomes the most well-liked geisha in the area and is able to persuade Dr. Crab to accept the box by persuading him not to believe insidious rumors. She's so well-liked, in fact, that the Baron wants him to host his upcoming party at her estate. Mamiha initially objects since she doesn't want Sayuri to work under her supervision after what they do to her, but the Baron issues a direct command that they are unable to reject. Sayuri gets to spend time with Ken the day of the party and discovers that he owes Nobu his life. Then, as a pretext to take her into a locked room with him and see her without clothes, the Baron brings her to see his collection of kimonos. Mamiha is enraged when Sayuri returns home because she believes the tales that have been spreading and fears that Sayuri's deflowering ritual will lose its significance, rendering her useless. Even if Hatsumomo continually making fun of Sayuri for it, she doesn't want to think that she is worthless. But later that evening, Mamiha arrives with a shocking revelation: she has sold Sayuri's deflowering for 15,000 yen, breaking her own record. Because Pumpkin had wanted to succeed Mother as the future madam, Mother's decision that Sayuri would inherit the Okiya crushes her. Hatsumomo is incensed that she has given everything to this Okiya, but Mother explains that she has always known not to give anything to Hatsumomo or her student because they are both manipulative scum who would have abandoned Mother as soon as possible rather than caring for her as they had done for Granny. Sayuri talks to Mamiha privately to thank her for everything after Mother lets her know that she will be sharing Hatsumomo's large room. Nobu didn't participate since it conflicts with his moral values, according to Mamiha, who reveals that Dr. Crab won the offer. The Baron had actually placed the highest offer, but Mamiha decided to punish him for his actions by awarding the prize to the doctor. Nobody would pay this much for something they had already taken, which is how she knows Sayuri had been telling the truth about the Baron not having his way with her after all. Mamiha acknowledges that she should have shielded her, too. Sayuri acts impeccably during her deflowering night, which occurs sooner than anticipated. Sayuri discovers Hatsumomo holding Ken's handkerchief when she gets back to the Okiya. Sayuri leaps on her to stop her from burning it, but in the process, she bumps into a light and ignites it, creating a fire. The girls initially miss it because they are too preoccupied fighting, but when the flames start to spread, Sayuri starts to scream for assistance. A petty Hatsumomo, however, genuinely resolves to break more lamps in order to spread the fire. After that, Hatsumomo leaves the Okiya, leaving Sayuri to serve as the home's geisha. Even if they lose many of their priceless kimonos in the fire, the structure is at least still standing. However, there is little time for reconstruction because World War II begins that year, and the community receives warnings of impending attacks. With Nobu's support and finances, Ken relocates the geishas to secure areas when most people are departing for Osaka. Mamiha is taken to Kamioka to work as a nurse's assistant, while Sayuri is sent to the hills to work for a kimono maker. Years go by, and Sayuri is confined to a schedule of demanding work and subpar food while the nation falls apart under the weight of ongoing conflicts. Nobu doesn't visit her with some news till the battle is over. The Baron lost his business and ended things for himself, but Mother and Auntie made it off unscathed. Ken puts a lot of effort into his business in Osaka, but tragically, they also lost their factory. Nobu is eager to begin the rebuilding process and will soon meet with an American colonel who has the authority to offer them a favorable contract. Sayuri is asked to revert to being a geisha by Nobu in order to assist them secure this contract after the colonel saw a picture of her and expressed a desire to see her. Sayuri doesn't want to go back to that line of work, but when Nobu says it would make Ken happy too, she can't say no. When Sayuri goes home, she discovers that a lot has changed. Americans have moved everywhere, and now everyone who wears makeup on the street calls themselves a geisha, damaging the reputation of genuine geishas. Sayuri learns that the battle has affected Mamiha as well, and she is now worn out and distraught over having lost the Baron, for whom she had feelings. She now works renting rooms after having to sell all of her kimonos and jewels in order to survive. However, when Sayuri begs for her assistance, Mamiha agrees to attend her next appointment while donning the lone kimono she did preserve as a memento of the occasion when the Baron agreed to be her patron. Sayuri runs into Pumpkin, an Americanized escort, while staying in town. Sayuri expresses regret for what happened in the past and acknowledges that the Okiya should have gone to her, but Pumpkin assures her that she is no longer upset about it and that she has a large clientele now. Mother then reopens the Okiya and gives Sayuri the few remaining items to help her dress like a geisha once more. Sayuri gets to visit Ken once more on the day of the business conference, along with meeting Colonel Derricks. The American soldiers take Nobu, Ken, Sayuri, Mamiha, and Pumpkin to the Amami Islands, where they relax in the hot springs. Sayuri tries to recount her experience on the bridge when everyone starts telling stories, but Ken stops her before she can continue. After that, Derek approaches Sayuri and she declines, saying it's not the geisha way. Nobu observes them from a distance before snapping at Sayuri because he loves her and doesn't want anybody else to have her. Then he admits he is eager to revive his company because he wants to become her customer. Sayuri visits Mamiha to voice her displeasure after Nobu departs her with a warning that he won't be turned down. She is let down when Mamiha informs her that she must agree because she owes Nobu her life. He treats Sayuri with kindness, which is more than any geisha could ever hope for. Sayuri devises a strategy to scare Nobu away because she still hasn't forgotten about Ken. She locates Pumpkin and requests a straightforward favor from her: bring Nobu to the garden at 9 p.m. for a surprise. At that point, Sayuri invites Derek to her room so they may become dirty so that when Nobu sees them, he won't find her appealing. However, Ken, who arrives instead of Nobu, leaves as soon as he realizes what's happening. Sayuri is upset when Pumpkin admits that this is her way of getting back at her for having the Okiya taken from her. Sayuri throws the handkerchief into the ocean in the morning, feeling helpless and heartbroken. After a few days, Sayuri returns to her job as an Okiya geisha. Sayuri believes it must be Nobu because he always asks her to come over to the tea house when he has an offer to be her patron waiting for her. When she arrives, she is shocked to see Ken there instead. As it turns out, Ken has always known that Sayuri is the young child from the bridge. He was also the one who asked Mamiha to instruct Sayuri after he caught her one night watching Pumpkin's hosting. Ken has always had feelings for Sayuri, but out of respect for his obligation to Nobu, he has kept those feelings to himself. But now that he's learned about Derek's, Nobu no longer cares for Sayuri, so Ken formally begs her to accept him as a patron. The two kiss as a symbol of their new life together after Sayuri accepts.